My mother never missed a chance to remind me I was her beautiful surprise, a polite term for a mistake she spent a lifetime resenting. But the real dagger came the day she sighed, "I just wish you had a fraction of Jason's ambition." For 20 years, I lived in the shadow of the boy next door, a monument of perfection built on a foundation of lies. I didn't know then that I would be the one to tear it all down. My name is Caden. To my mother, it was always spoken with a faint sigh, a breath of disappointment that lingered in the air between us. I wasn't just Caden. I was, "Caden, why can't you be more like Jason?" Jason wasn't just a person. He was a standard I was born failing to meet, a ghost that haunted our every family dinner. We grew up in the same suburban Austin neighborhood. Our mothers, Linda and Susan, became fast friends, and their friendship became the cage of my constant comparison. Jason and I were thrust into the same life, same schools, same birthday parties, the same suffocating expectations, but we were never friends. In the playground, he was the one building structurally sound sandcastles, praised for his engineering mind. I was the one drawing elaborate, fanciful cities in the sand that the first wave would wash away. "Look how precise Jason is," my mom would point out, her voice laced with a hope for me that I could never fulfill. In high school, the divide became a canyon. His flawless A in physics was a cause for celebration. My A- in music theory was met with a hesitant, "That's creative, honey." He was the captain of the debate team, his future in finance already being mapped out by admiring adults. I was in the garage band, losing myself in the chords of my guitar, the one place where the noise in my head made sense. "Jason is so focused on his future," my mother would muse, staring at my calloused fingers. "Don't you want a life people will admire?" The most corrosive part was his private cruelty. Away from the approving eyes of our parents, his mask would slip. In the school hallway, he'd lean close, his voice a venomous whisper. "Still fiddling with that guitar? Gonna be playing for tips on 6th Street while I'm buying the building?" A sharp, accidental bunk would follow, and then he'd flash that brilliant, trustworthy smile at a passing teacher. He was a wolf in golden boy's clothing, and I was the only one who could smell the predator on him. My mother was willfully blind to it. To her, his cutting remarks were motivational. His arrogance was self-confidence. My quiet resentment was a bad attitude. I felt myself fading, becoming a pale, watercolor version of a person next to his high-definition, oil-painted portrait of success. The hurt wasn't a burning rage. It was a cold, heavy stone sitting in my gut, a weight I carried to every class, every meal, every moment of my life. I was just waiting for the moment I'd learn how to throw it back. College was supposed to be my great escape. We both ended up at the University of Texas at Austin, him in the prestigious Macomb School of Business, me in the College of Fine Arts. But the physical distance was meaningless. The ghost of Jason followed me in every weekly call home. Jason landed a summer analyst position at Goldhaven Capital, Caden. Susan is over the moon. "I saw them at the club. Jason's already networking with partners. He's just so driven." My achievements, original composition used in a campus film, a paid gig scoring a local indie game, were met with a distant, "I'm glad you're having fun, dear." The subtext was a scream. It wasn't a real career. It wasn't respectable. It wasn't Jason. The breaking point came during my sophomore year. A friend from my audio engineering class was hosting a party at his off-campus house, and to my disbelief, Jason was there, holding a red Solo cup and holding court with a group of wide-eyed finance hopefuls. He was slumming it, playing the approachable mogul for a night. I tried to melt into the walls, but he sought me out. "Caden," he said, his voice slick with false bonhomie. "Heard you're still making noise in your little studio. Cute." He leaned in, the smell of craft beer on his breath. "You know, my dad's hedge fund needs some background music for their corporate presentation. Might be the most lucrative work you ever get." I walked away, my hands clenched into fists, the familiar cold stone of resentment turning hot. Later, as the party peaked, campus police arrived for a noise complaint. In the ensuing scramble, a sleek, expensive-looking external hard drive fell from Jason's leather backpack onto the rug. He saw it, I saw it. Panic flashed in his eyes for a microsecond, then was replaced by that cold, calculating malice I knew so well. When the officer asked about the commotion, Jason didn't hesitate. He pointed at me, his face a masterpiece of concerned disappointment. "Officer, I'm so sorry. I think my friend Caden must have dropped that," he said, his voice dripping with fake sympathy. "He's been under a lot of pressure lately. Some copyright issues with his music. I've been trying to help him get on the right track, but..." He trailed off, painting a picture of a desperate, unstable artist. It was a masterstroke. To cement his lie, he accidentally accidentally knocked my messenger bag off a chair, my student ID, a notebook filled with musical notations, and a handful of guitar picks scattered across the floor. See? His performance screamed to everyone. He's a mess. The officer, seeing the responsible business student versus the struggling artist, bought it completely. I was written up for disorderly conduct and the hard drive was confiscated. The university placed me on academic probation, citing a pattern of disruptive behavior. The news detonated in my life. When I finally got my mother on the phone, my voice shaking as I tried to explain the truth, she cut me off. "Don't you dare try to blame Jason for your own failures, Caden," she screamed, her voice cracking with a humiliation I realized was for her, not for me. "He is the only one who ever tries to steer you right. How could you be so reckless? This is what I get for raising a problem child." That was the moment. The cold, heavy stone in my gut didn't just get hot, it vaporized, transforming into a silent, white-hot supernova of vengeance. He didn't just frame me. He had stolen my mother's last shred of faith in me. Fine, if I was the problem child in their narrative, I would become the architect of his downfall. I would expose the golden boy, not with a shout, but with a whisper of undeniable truth, and I would make sure the collapse of his perfect world was a spectacle no one could ignore. The weeks following my probation were a deep, suffocating blue. Shame was a tangible cloak I wore everywhere. But then, in the quiet despair, something shifted. The self-pity didn't just fade. It crystallized into a cold, surgical focus. Jason had won a cheap battle with a lie, but I was going to win the war with patience and data. I became a phantom in his digital world, and his perfect life became my crime scene to investigate. I started digging. His public image was an impenetrable fortress of LinkedIn accolades and Instagram posts from charity galas, but fortresses have weak points. I remembered his sudden, unexplained wealth, the luxury studio apartment, the designer suits that screamed old money, but were funded by a middle-class family. I recalled his cryptic boasts about disrupting the market and his new circle of friends, sharp-edged guys from his business fraternity who looked more like sharks than students. My first break came from Chloe, a sharp-witted friend majoring in computer science who I trusted with my life. Over coffee, I casually mentioned Jason's incredible startup venture. She smirked. Venture? More like a venture into gray areas. He's been trying to recruit coders for my department for some automated crypto trading bot. Promises huge returns, but the algorithm he described, it reeks of pump and dump. It's borderline market manipulation, Caden. A future finance star dabbling in shady crypto schemes, the first crack in his golden armor had appeared. I began my surveillance. From a distance, I tracked his social movements, his check-ins. I noticed a pattern. Every Wednesday night, he'd tell his roommates he was at the library, but his location data from a carefully configured Find My Friends app he'd forgotten I had access to would ping at a sleek, modern high-rise downtown known for housing tech startups and anonymous shell companies. I staked it out once, my heart a drum against my ribs. I saw him meet with a guy named Marcus, a known fixer in the campus entrepreneurial scene. It wasn't a social call. They exchanged a flash drive, their body language tense and professional. Jason wasn't just investing, he was orchestrating. The golden boy was funding his lavish lifestyle and building his empire by potentially manipulating markets and exploiting loopholes. The irony was devastating. He had framed me for disorderly conduct with a hard drive, while he was potentially trafficking in code that could defraud people. But I needed proof. Ironclad, undeniable evidence. I couldn't just tell my mother. She'd accused me of a jealous smear campaign. I needed a digital confession. I became a forensic archivist of his deceit. I used my audio engineering skills to create clean, enhanced audio from videos I took discreetly from afar. I compiled a dossier, timestamps, location data, screenshots of his coded messages in private forums, Chloe's testimony about the bot's mechanics. The stage was being set for a reckoning. All I needed was the right moment to pull back the curtain and let the spotlight reveal the truth. The perfect opportunity presented itself, wrapped in familial obligation. My mother called, her voice strained with that particular brand of forced cheer she reserved for Jason-related events. "Susan is throwing an early graduation celebration for Jason. He just accepted a full-time offer at Goldhaven. You are coming, Caden. It's non-negotiable. Maybe being in that environment will finally inspire you to get serious." A cold, calm smile touched my lips. Of course, Mom. I wouldn't miss it for the world. The party was a sanctification of Jason's
Jason's success. His offer letter from Goldhaven Capital was displayed in a silver frame on the mantel. Photos of him shaking hands with managing directors adorned the walls. He held court in the center of the living room, the sun around which all adult admiration orbited. My mother watched him with a look of pure, unadulterated longing, as if he were the son she'd wished she'd had. I played my part perfectly. I was quiet, polite, the unassuming artist's son, a harmless accessory in the grand narrative of Jason's triumph. I nodded at the right times, a ghost at his feast. Then I saw my opening. Jason pulled his phone from his tailored suit jacket, frowned at a notification, and smoothly excused himself, stepping out through the glass doors onto the spacious backyard patio. I gave it a 60 count, my own phone in my hand, the recording app already active, video rolling discreetly at my side. He was near the tall wooden fence, partially obscured by a large oak tree, talking to a nervous-looking young man I recognized from the business fraternity. "I told you, not here and definitely not now," Jason hissed, his voice low and tight with anger. "Man, the beta test is tonight. The group is ready. I need the final algorithm parameters now," the guy whined, his hands shaking slightly. "The volatility window is perfect." "Fine, but my finder's fee is now 20% for the extreme risk." Jason pulled a small encrypted USB drive from his pocket. "The instructions are on there. Don't mess this up." That was my cue. I stepped out of the shadows, my phone now held up like a weapon, capturing everything. "A 20% finder's fee for a few lines of code, Jason? Isn't that a bit predatory for a future captain of industry?"
He spun around, his face a perfect canvas of shock and raw terror. The USB drive clattered onto the flagstones. "Caden, what the hell? This isn't what it looks like." "Oh, I think it's exactly what it looks like," I said, my voice projecting, carrying back toward the house. "It looks like you're distributing code for a fraudulent crypto pump and dump scheme. The same scheme you've been using to bankroll your lifestyle after your legitimate internship couldn't cover the cost of your ego." The patio door slid open with a sharp sound. Our mother stood there, Susan holding a bottle of champagne, my mother with a proud smile that instantly withered and died on her lips. They took in the scene, the USB on the ground, Jason's panicked, guilty face, my calm, accusatory stance in the phone recording it all. "Caden, stop this at once," my mother snapped automatically, a lifetime of programming taking over. But Susan wasn't looking at me. Her eyes were locked on her son, her voice a horrified whisper. "Jason, the transfer from your college fund, the investment, was that a lie? Is this what that was for?" "Mom, he's twisting everything. He's jealous. He's always been a liar," Jason cried, his voice cracking into a pathetic, desperate whine. I didn't even glance at him. I kept my eyes locked on my mother, my voice low but clear, piercing the silence. "You remember the hard drive, Mom? The one that got me put on probation? That was his. He framed me. He's not successful. He's a con artist, and you spent my entire life worshipping a fraud." The silence that followed was more devastating than any scream. I saw the foundation of her reality crumble in her eyes. I turned and walked back through the house, past the stunned faces of the guests, and out the front door into the clean night air. I didn't need to see the rest. The image of my mother's shattered illusion and Jason's golden facade collapsing into rubble was already permanently seared into my mind. The reckoning was complete.
The silence from my mother lasted for a week. This time, it was different. It wasn't the cold, punishing silence I had known my whole life. It was a heavy, profound quiet, thick with unspoken shame and the crumbling of a worldview. When she finally called, her voice was raspy, stripped bare of all its former certainty. "Caden, She couldn't form the words. Instead, she cried, not the performative sobs I was used to, but a raw, guttural sound of genuine grief. She was mourning the son she never saw and the 2 decades she had wasted on a lie. The fallout was absolute. The information I had gathered, the video, the digital dossier, it all found its way to the university's ethics board and, inevitably, to Goldhaven Capital. Jason was expelled for academic misconduct and his involvement in a fraudulent financial scheme. His offer was rescinded immediately, with a tersely worded letter about integrity and fiduciary responsibility. The story even made the local business blog, a cautionary tale about ambition outpacing ethics. The friendship between Linda and Susan, a structure built entirely on the faulty bedrock of our rivalry, imploded. There was too much blame, too much shared delusion to survive the truth. My mother
had to face the horrifying reality that she had been an active participant in my emotional neglect, that she had championed a corrupt idol while pushing her own son away. Our relationship now is a construction site. The ruins of the past are being carefully cleared away. It's fragile, painful work. She started therapy. Her apologies are no longer grand pronouncements meant to quickly smooth things over. They are small, specific, and agonizingly sincere. "I'm sorry I didn't listen to you when you tried to tell me about your music," she'd say, her eyes welling up. "I'm sorry I made you feel like your passion was less than his greed." She bought a small frame and put the program for my first officially licensed film score in it, placing it on her desk at work. The constant grinding pressure of comparison is gone. The ghost of Jason has been exorcised, not with a shout, but with the quiet, undeniable power of truth. I can finally breathe. I'm building my own life, my own name in the world of audio composition, free from the noise of her disapproval. The funny thing is, without her voice in my head telling me I'm not enough, I'm starting to believe that I am. My work is sharper, more confident, because it's finally, truly, for me. I didn't just expose Jason for the fraud he was. In the end, I freed us both from a prison she never even knew she was building. My revenge wasn't in his downfall, but in our quiet, hard-won liberation. And sometimes, that's the only revenge that truly, deeply matters.